Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Coach Black of the Black Fakers podcast. This is podcast number 4, and I'm going to be starting off with a quote, like I said I would be doing. I think it's a very good way to segue into the topic that I'm talking about, and also quotes are just very nice, very inspirational. So I'm going to read a quote here, and the quote is, 97% of people who quit too soon are employed by the 3% that never gave up. I'm going to say it one more time for you. 97 of people that quit too soon are soon employed, I don't even remember if soon was the word, by the 3% that never gave up. Now, why do I say that? If we exclude Challenger, Grandmaster, and Master, we're left with Diamond. There are at least 3% of players in Diamond. Now, if we put the other 3 ranks in there, then it's going to be over, and it's going to be 4%. So we just going to act like that rank ain't there. But to be real, the thing you want to think about is most players only really want to hit Diamond, right? If you ask anybody, their milestones are usually Diamond, usually Gold, and usually Bronze if you're Iron. You don't really see many people are like, I really just want to hit Silver. I just really want to hit Platinum. I mean, you might see that, but Gold is always better than that Silver. Diamond's always better than that Platinum. And so why do I say that? Because a lot of the times you might feel like, giving up. A lot of the times you might play and just feel like it's hopeless. You'll go up like 97 LP or something. Took you forever to get there. You only win like 14, 13 LP just for you to lose it all and go back to 0. And you're like, why do I even play this game anymore? It's so frustrating. Like, what's the point of this? And I kind of agree. I can't lie to you. Look, if I'm going to help you become better players as a coach, I have to be on your level, It's unfair to say that, well, the players that are good never feel that way. That's false. Everybody has been in that state, whether you're high elo, whether you're low elo, and that feel doesn't feel good. So I do agree, and I do understand the feeling of wanting to give up because of what just happened. Or maybe you're feeling like, whatever. I lost all my LP. I'm at 0 LP. I might as well just play some champs that I want to learn. I might as well just troll a little bit, get that out my system. And then you'll start climbing again. Seriously. Why do we do that? Why do we try to then lose and then we just don't care anymore to then try again? It's like a cycle, no? I try my best. I get pretty far. I lose it all. Then I troll. Or I pick champs I don't know. Then I try again after I'm done on that lose streak. It just really doesn't make sense. How do you want to climb? How do you want to get to that top 3% if you're always, quote unquote, giving up? And it's always going to tie back to that word consistency. That word consistency is usually the word that we want to tie on to because that is the one that matters the most, right? Even if you do lose all those games and it sucks and I feel like you do want to give up, being consistent is important. Why change how you were playing if the way that you were playing was the reason why you were winning? But then you might think, well, the way I was playing was also the reason why I was losing. So in this instance, where do we go from here? If I play properly, I win. If I play properly, I lose. And then you get mad at me. I won't say mad because I don't get mad at you guys. But then you say that, well, you're not being consistent because you're now playing champs that you don't know. And it's like, well, at this point, does it really matter? You have to realize it does matter because the more consistent you play, the easier it is for you to get better. Remember, the long term here is to become a better player to sustain that rank. Game knowledge lasts forever. I always say this as a quote for myself. Coach Baker 2019. I don't remember when I said it. But LP comes and goes. Game knowledge lasts forever. You should put that on a t-shirt. I'm just saying. CoachBucket.com. I don't actually sell t-shirts. I'm lying. Speaking of which, if you guys would like a discount for duos, if you buy one duo, you'll get the other. You'll be able to have your duo sit with you for free. So it'll be a duo coaching for free for just one lesson purchase. Also, if you guys would like to have buy one get one free for a solo queue session, just purchase a solo queue session. Put in the code FREE and you can get the free coaching session with the one that you bought. So the duo, for duo coaching, buy one, basically get one free for your duo, is The code's Duo, and it's only booked by DuoQ's coaching. And then the coaching for buy one, get one free for yourself, the code is free. Okay, so back to the topic at hand here. So with that in mind, that LP comes and goes and game knowledge lasts forever, you want to make sure that you continuously playing for that game knowledge. And what do I mean by that? Recently, I thought to try something. What did I think to try? I thought to try to learn something new. I haven't learned something new in League in a long time. Well, I won't say learn. I'll say apply. So I wanted to kind of get my feet wet again in terms of how do I go about improving something I don't know. So I took a couple of champions on a fresh account and I played them with nobody knew the name, nobody knew, like I never streamed it or anything like that. And I wanted to give myself hurdles to then think about how to fix it. How do you go about fixing something even if you're having problems with it? And a lot of the times that I realized when I wasn't successful wasn't because I was stupid. Wasn't because, I mean, I'm a little stupid, but wasn't because I just didn't know, I didn't understand. It was more the fact that I didn't care. And what do I mean by that I didn't care? It's not like I just wanted to throw all my games, right? It was more of I didn't care enough to improve at that particular thing. The reason why lower elo players tend to climb faster than higher elo players, and when I say that I mean the reason why like you'll see a bronze or a silver climb really quickly versus like a plat player is because there's a lot more to learn and a lot more obvious mistakes that are being made that you can just kind of fix willy-nilly. As an example, don't go in for a kill if you don't know where the jungler is. Pretty simple. Whatever. Make sure you ward if you're going to overextend. I mean, pretty obvious. You'll see the pretty much immediate result if you don't do it because you'll probably die. Now, when we take this into the high elo, I really don't consider plat high elo. I really don't consider diamond high elo. Maybe like D2, D1 kind of high elo. I know there's more players saturating masters right now, so I don't know. This whole rank system is just whack this season. Hopefully it's better next season. But for the most part, whether you're high elo, it doesn't even matter. Like I should stop using that because it really doesn't matter. It ranks a rank. The thing that I noticed is that when you are in that elo from like gold 1-ish to like plat to then diamond, there's a lot more minute things you got to focus on. Right, when we're looking at that, we're looking at players that are like, make sure you fix your pathing because you need to be at the right place at the right place at the right time. Like, how do you figure that out without actually being a mind reader, right? That means you have to consistently do it properly so you're always there, but you don't know if you need to be. If we're talking about laning, the same thing, rotations, right? When we're thinking about rotations, you don't always need to rotate. But if you consistently rotate, you'll rotate to a very important fight. But you don't know when that very important fight might take place. Another example is backing. Right, back timers mean a lot more to high elo players than it does low elo players. Why? Because low elo players can tend to stay ahead for longer, whereas high elo players, you need that extra oomph from buying before the next fight happens. And so that's pretty much what I'm getting at. Is when it comes to focusing on things like that, it's very hard to really put a lot of emphasis on that. It's very easy to learn how to not do. It's very easy to learn how to not do. That doesn't really make sense, but it's very easy to learn to not make those mistakes that are just obviously glaring. I mean, sometimes people still do have problems with doing that. Not gonna lie. Not like every player can fix that. Even challenger players just have some obviously glaring things that they do wrong. I was coaching a player. We were looking at some challenger gameplay. We were like, what is going on? So it's definitely obvious that people still have those. But the thing is, I say the problem, but it's not really a problem. The thing is, high elo players tend to not do it as much, right? And focusing on those little tiny bits of things are what gives you that extra oomph when that thing actually pops up and takes place. The problem is players don't like to focus on those little small things because those little small things don't have direct impact to the gameplay unless that thing literally happens at that particular time. As an example, I had a student. Now, you know who you are. You don't have to comment. You don't have to say who you are. But I had a student that seen the jungler in the river getting scuttle crab. They spotted them with their camera. They told me on the voice, and they still went in for that fight when the jungler was right there. That type of thing is glaring, right? That type of thing is where's the next destination? Like, that's obvious. And they still had that issue. Now, when we think about something where it's like, I had another student where they were pathing and they were wasting a lot of time without really knowing it. They were trying to sacrifice a lot of time to help a laner, and it just always ultimately backfired. Once again, you don't really see that one come to fruition until later into the game. Like, you don't really see that. You don't really notice that until later into the game. The difference here being, it's very easy to work on something that, like, obviously punishes you, and it's very hard to work on something that just doesn't. So, that being said, it's like, you gone over a huge entire tangent. Yeah, that's what I do. That's why I like podcasts. You know, I like being able to just talk to y'all. It's kind of nice to just be unscripted. But how y'all doing? Y'all okay? Y'all driving to work? Y'all feeding y'all kids? What y'all doing? Let me know. I'm chilling. I lost my train of thought. I'm not gonna lie to you guys after what I just said there. Okay, back on point. The problem is that players don't want to pay attention to those small things because it takes a lot of energy to really think about it throughout the entire game when you don't really know if it's helping you. Now, let's use this example of the player wasting time one more time. If I know that I need to focus on pathing properly and I need to not waste as much time as possible, but I'm losing, but I didn't perfect what I was doing, what do I do? What do I do when the thing that I'm working on isn't necessarily causing me to lose or win, but I know I need to get better at it? That is the problem from Gold 1 through Diamond, more or less. It's that same situation, you know? I need to work on something, but it's not affecting my gameplay. So why do I work on it? Then what happens is you just move to the next thing to work on, but you're still bad at that. And then you do the same thing. You move on to the next, and you move on to the next. And then you say, well, you know, I'm not really climbing, or like this rank system sucks and blah, blah, blah. But realistically, you just didn't have the discipline to stick to it till you got really good at it. The way you climb in League of Legends is to get as many tools under your belt as possible and then use them on your way to climb. As an example, I'll say this. I'm a top laner, right? Top laner, doing my thing. I can beat my person. I can beat the laner that I'm going against 1v1 every single time I lane versus them. No matter who it is, I'm winning. I'm really good at team fighting, but I'm really bad at split pushing. I don't really know when to go. I don't really know what to do. I don't really know the time that I should be doing it. And so I just don't split push. I just choose to team fight. I just choose to stomp my lane and choose to team fight all the time. What do you do when games call for you to split push? Do you just automatically lose those? Do you just not care? And then what if 3 to 4 games in a row requires you to split push? Just randomly. Somehow the matchmaking said, hey, you got 3 games, 4 games, you need to split push. What do? You just lose. And then you say that thing where it's like, well, I just lost all my LP, you know, I try my best and I'm trying my best to climb and whatnot. And, I'm really practicing. I'm really getting better at laning and I'm really getting better at team fighting. You have to realize that just because you learn something doesn't necessarily mean you need to use it every single game. League of Legends is very, very dynamic. It requires you to use some sorts of skills every now and then. Think of like driving, right? When you're driving, not all you guys drive. That's a horrible excuse. I mean, that's a horrible example. I'll say that. If you listen to a podcast, you're probably an adult. Let's be real. Ain't nobody under freaking 18 listening to no podcast. So imagine you're driving. You can think about all the skills that you learned while getting your license, while studying. You've learned so much, but how much do you actually put to the test when you're driving? Bro, honestly, all I do is press gas, press brake, turn, pay attention to signs. That's 4 things. But there's way more to driving than that. And you know there's way more to driving than that. Let's say sliding on ice. Ice doesn't happen every single year. I mean, it does for a lot of people. But you know what I mean. It doesn't happen every single season. I'm sorry. Therefore, you don't need to know how to drive on ice until the ice shows up. That's League of Legends. You don't need to know how to do a certain thing until that certain thing shows up. So when you're being told by a coach or when you're watching a video that's saying learn something, you might not think it pertains to you, but it actually will eventually. League of Legends is a collective thing. And once you learn it's more like a test every single time you queue up for ranked. What do you know? You'll realize how much easier it is to climb, because literally League is all about adapting. And if you can't adapt, you're gonna be stuck. So think about it. Think about all the situations you've been put into that are just really terrible. It is bad. Like, oh my gosh, my team, my junglers like doing this crap, never getting any dragons. My mid laner never roams. I'm getting like camped by the freaking mid laner. The top laner teleporting and my top laner is not getting any towers. My support freaking sucks. They just roam around or they just don't do anything in lane. My ADC always freaking overextends the poke and die or doesn't team fight properly. Like, that's a lot of BS. Don't get me wrong. But there's ways to deal with all of it. And giving up isn't the answer. Quitting because you're tired of the system isn't the answer. If you really want to reach that goal, you're going to have to push through. You're going to have to take that time to learn those tedious little things that you know you can't stand learning. Because it doesn't show. When you get better at it, it doesn't show. But you have to. You have to learn that. Because once you learn that, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. 100%. 100%. So many students that I've coached that are in that boat where it's like, I really don't want to learn this little crap. And sometimes it takes me to kind of hold their hand. I mean, that's what a coach does, right? It takes me to be there and hold their hand. But there's some students that have really, really good study habits. I'm not one of them. Let me tell you. Study habits is not me. But they have some really good study habits to where they know how to drill down on what I told them. And they kind of learn it on their own. So how do I say that? So you guys know that I write, like, whether it be a VOD review or a coaching session, I write notes, right? And with those notes, I leave like pinpoint or bullet points. And I always say, you know, if anybody needs help, feel free to ask, because I know a lot of people don't have that. I don't know the way to put it. Maybe mental focus, I guess you can say. That's not really the right word I'm looking for. Maybe someone knows what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, it's a video game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a test. Like, it's not real life. Like, you don't have to put that much focus into it realistically. And there are some students who do put that much focus into it because that's just kind of how they live their life. They put a lot of focus into everything that they do. Like I said, I'm not one of them. I have to like go out my way, but I can tell when they do that. And those are the players that usually climb like really quick, like really, really quick, because they do the little tedious things. They practice the little minute things, right? Like I said before, if you know that you're wasting time in the jungle and you're not getting to your point B fast enough, the type of player would go into practice and work on that. They would go into practice to just work on that. There's a student that I had that was just really bad at dodging skill shots. So they did that little dodge game and they would constantly do dodge skill shots. They would constantly do that. And they would update me. He'd be like, look, this is the score that I got. Look, this is the score that I got. He would play. I mean, this dude played it religiously, but he got insanely good at like positioning, insanely good at dodging skill shots. He was an Anivia player, or I think I don't know if he still plays anymore. But he was an Anivia player, and he was doing it. He was like really doing it. So at the end of the day, you really want to think about where you're putting your effort. Remember, when you have artists like Beyonce, when you have artists like Jay-Z, when you have, I don't know why I'm thinking of these, but these are the only ones that pop into my head. Any artist you can really think of, honestly. Anyone that you think, oh, that's my favorite band, or that's my favorite athlete. They don't practice when they perform. They perform after they practice. And if you really want to get better at League, if you really want to get better and become a better player, and you want to start climbing some ranks, you have to differentiate the difference between performance and practice. A lot of players try to combine them both, and it just doesn't yield results. I'm one of those players. I will combine them both, and I know it makes it a lot harder for me to get better at the game when it's specific aspects that I want to get better on. Whether or not I understand it is not a question. It's more of applying it. And I know that it's going to take like 30 more games to learn what I want to learn. That could literally just take about 5 if I went into normals and just honed in on that one thing. The problem is when we're playing ranked and we're trying to improve at the same time, whether it be because you feel like, oh, I don't have enough time to practice and play ranked. Or I don't have enough time to be able to separate them. Or maybe it's like I have enough time, but I don't want to play anything but ranked. Like, that's my excuse. I don't like playing anything other than ranked. So if I'm going to practice something, it's going to be in ranked. And the problem with that is when you're practicing something, as I said, that tool may not be used of what you're trying to practice, right? And why put yourself in a scenario where you might not be able to use that tool, therefore you're not going to be able to practice that specific thing? If the game doesn't call for you to do something that you're practicing on, how do you get better at it? Whereas if you play like a normals, or if you go into a practice tool, if you play against whatever you need to do to improve at whatever core aspects you need to improve on, you're forcing yourself to bring that tool out, and you're forcing that tool to do whatever it needs to be doing. It's way different. And you're obviously able to put a little bit more emphasis on focusing, So what I encourage you, if you really feel like you're that type of player, like I said, I am. I know a lot of players are, and I have no shame in telling you. I'm the type of player that will win a lot, and then I'll start losing, and then I'll just be like, F this. I'm just going to play something else. Whatever. If you're that type of player, or you feel that type of way, you have to remember 97% of the 97% of the people who quit too soon are soon employed by the 3% that never gave up. That's all I got left to say. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Depending on the topic, I'll make it longer, I'll make it shorter. I just don't want to drag on for no reason, but I do like talking to you guys. I mean, if you guys don't care about it being longer, then I'd sit, chill, and we'll relax together. But I just feel like this one didn't really need to be that long. But yeah, thank you guys for enjoying it. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, a wonderful day. I'm glad you're able to sit and listen to my stupid self-talk. I wish I had an apartment this nice. I know a couple of y'all was commenting on it. This is nice. This is real nice. I mean, there's a loft up there. I'm saying, if anybody want a roommate. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Until next time, you know what I always say. Stay safe. Thank you for listening to the Coach Blakers podcast.